We're at the Media Reform Rally in London. I'm talking here to Owen Jones, who's the author of a very successful book called Chavs, which told us about how the media misrepresent the working class in Britain. You've just spoken here on the platform about what's wrong with the media and what we should do about it. Owen, can you give us a sense of what you told the people in there?
Well, it was a range of things, really. Firstly, I think this is a great opening we've got. The scandal over Murdoch. It's really exposed the influence that media moguls have over our democracy, effectively subverting our democracy. When you have one mogul such as Murdoch owning such a large swathe of the media, it gives them huge leverage over democratically elected government. So one of the things I was arguing for is that you should only have one media owner for per media outlet to prevent that sort of power they have. Also, I wanted to talk about the crisis of working class representation. We don't have enough working class journalists. Sutton Trush found that over half of our top 100 journalists are privately educated. To solve that, we need to get rid of unpaid internships. We need scholarships for example, City University, where expensive qualifications you often need to get a foot in the door of the media required. And also to sort of break down the sort of corporate-owned media where journalists only reflect the views and prejudices often of a very privileged section of society.
And the media reform traditionally has had a sort of very back office sort of priority. People have sort of talked about it and been patted on the head. What's your sense of the sort of appetite and even anger for media reform now? Do you think it's going to spread more widely than just inside the circles of the sort of media savvy people?
Yeah, I think it's transformed as an issue. I think it was languishing on the fringes. Not least we're in a very serious economic crisis. There's lots of other things on people's minds at the moment. But the Murdoch scandal really shocked people, I think, and put back on the agenda this sense that the media doesn't actually often exist to serve people, but has a very pernicious role in terms of the way it's structured, in terms of its power over democratically elected governments. That's an open door we need to start pushing at properly now. I mean, one of the other things I talked about was unionising journalists. Murdoch relished taking on the unions across the print media, and the fact they're so weak now means it's very difficult for them to stand up against management when they're asked to do illegal or unethical things. So we should make the case now, stronger than ever, for unionising journalists, and I think that could have a lot more traction, more so than ever before.
And tell me, if I was 18 years old, I didn't have much money, a working class, maybe even an ethnic minority, I mean, what would your advice be to me if I wanted to go into the media? What would you tell me?
Well, to fight as much as possible to do that. And there are ways now of kind of trying to bypass it, things like blogging, things like tweeting, where you can actually try and, if you be a citizen journalist, go out to your community, other communities across the country, expose what's going on, things which the mainstream press ignore. That can get you noticed. And I think, it's not easy to take on those barriers, and people do need to campaign against the scourge of unpaid internships, which are completely indefensible. They're just a barrier to other people who aren't rich getting into the media. But at the same time, I would exploit new media if I were those people and find a way of kind of, bypassing that.
So that was Owen Jones. He's showing us the extent of the anger, but also some of the chances and the opportunities for people to get into the media at a time when media reform is probably as high on the agenda as it's been for years and years. This is Patrick Chalmers with Vision on TV.